What is going on today, everyone? Thanks for tuning in with me here on the Movo TX channel. And we are once again at my absolute favorite place to trail hike. This is Foothills Park, or Foothills Nature Preserve as it's called now. And I'm going to take you guys out on the Los Trancos Trail. Now, I've never actually done this hike from this far end trailhead. I usually kind of cut it across in that way, inland that way towards the campsite. So we're going to do it here from the far extreme end at the Interpretive Center. And we're going to literally hop it on this way. So the full loop is a little over 8 miles, I believe, maybe a little bit less. I'll have to post a comment on that in when I get home in the editing environment. But nonetheless, I have hiked this leg of the trail before, but it's been ages. So this is one of the trails we would take my daughter's Girl Scout troop on when they were younger, and it was a lot of fun. And we still have some creek water runoff happening here. Everything's still very green and very lush, not dried out yet at all. So I know I've taken you guys on this trail at least a couple times before on the channel, and it's been a while though, and it's definitely going to be different now with all the rain and the storm activity we've had lately. So just the past 2 or 3 weekends, my weekend hikes, I've gotten totally rained on. So we're not totally out. In fact, look at this here. We're gonna see hillsides just littered with deadfall up and down, and these are all really fresh. So California has been hammered with atmospheric river conditions since late November. It's just been a steady heavy wind and rainstorm environment throughout. So that's kind of why I'm going up here today, guys. So we're gonna vlog our way through and capture the moments. This is a definite uphill trek for sure. You're gonna hear me doing my Darth Vader breathing, really working on that aspect of my lung capacity, just deep drawing air in and out. Low bridge. Low bridge. So lots of fresh green grasses coming up. These will continue to grow and increase density as the season progresses into the spring and summer. And eventually they'll actually grow over the trail. And that's when you gotta watch out for ticks. And so this whole park is a massive tick infestation, and right now we're okay. But later in the season, those tall grass blades will lean out over the trail, and you'll see ticks with their legs out trying to latch on to their next host. But we're okay for now. And you're seeing lots of young fern, fiddleheads sprouting up throughout the hillside. Alrighty, so kind of cresting up out of the Interpretive Center valley down below. And you can kind of look down into that area right now. So we'll probably drop back down into Wild Horse Valley, coming up here to some degree. And we're going to steady climb up and back out again. Oh, cool. There's the lake. Right off that way. And you can actually look down into downtown Palo Alto. Right on down in there. Very cool. Somehow when I'm doing this hike with my little daughter and her little Girl Scout friends, I don't remember the hike being this steep uphill. Different perspective, I guess. When you're tending to the little ones, you get kind of distracted, I guess. Whereas now it's just me, and I'm a little more tuned in to the environment. Nobody up here, so I don't think too many people actually do this leg of the trail, to be honest. Alrighty guys, so we are already at our first trail junction. It makes a sharp U-turn coming up this way, and we can continue 0.6 miles to Upper Steep Hollow Trail. That's the way we want to go. And eventually the entire 6.9 mile loop will loop around Los Trancos Creek area, drop us back down into Wild Horse Valley. So this is our ultimate goal at the end of the hike, and we push onwards. So I don't think there's a whole lot of hill climbing too much from here on out, but I could be wrong. We shall see, we shall see. Yeah, so I've definitely have not hiked this trail, and I know for sure I haven't taken you guys on this leg of the trail. So my daughter's Girl Scout troop, we would hoof it on behind me and take that segment of trail that we just passed up, and we wouldn't actually do this, but wow, love this time of year. Look at those wildflowers. Anybody out there in YouTube land care to identify what that is? Awesome. Amazing. Looks like a type of fern, judging by the leaves. Oh, this is awesome. This is such a therapeutic getaway relief for me. Glad you guys are coming along for the trek here. And most of this trail is exactly what you see here. Deep, deep forested oak tree canopy that kind of thins out at the higher elevations. But for the most part, at the lower elevations and the mid-tier elevations, you're looking at heavy, heavy oak forest. Alrighty, y'all. Get a load of these purple ones too. Isn't that cool? Surrounded by thorny pricker bushes that I want nothing to do with. Stay way out of that. And toyon berries throughout. We're going to see patches of toyon berries throughout this hike. Those are edible. They are poisonous though if you eat too many of them. So they're edible in very, very small quantity. Supposedly. Have to be a really, really bad day out here for me to want to eat that. And I think the raccoons actually eat those too. If I find raccoon scat along the trail, I'll point that out to you guys. But yes, we are in raccoon territory, mountain lion habitat, lynx and smaller bobcat as well cohabitate these hills. As well as deer and rattlesnake too. Get a load of that view, guys. Wow. So we can actually look across now and see the main drive-in Vista Hill to Foothills Park. There's the paved car path up there, but that's the main Vista overlook at 7,800 feet. So, judging by that, we're at about 7,800 right now along this segment of trail. Still lots of water erosion countermeasures taken by the local rangers, trying to divert that water off the trail so it doesn't totally wash out. And right away, the terrain is changing. Tree canopy is lowering, and we're now into these juniper, maybe? I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure exactly what those are, but we're now into the higher elevations and the exposed hilltops. Slightly exposed, I should say. Alrighty, so we just crossed one of the main fire roads coming up, and I believe this fire road and this part of Los Trancos Trail eventually merge back in together up here a ways at that 0.6 mile junction. So we're going to take this path along the single track under the oak forest, and I'm starting to hear people's voices off in the distance that way to my left, so I think I'm heading in the right direction. Low bridge again, sort of. Just beautiful, man. Wow. So awesome. Alrighty, y'all. So this is the Steep Hollow Trail Junction right here. So we just came up Los Trancos Trail there that way down to the park headquarters. So we've gone 1.2 miles, and this is the section of Steep Hollow Trail that drops back down into Wild Horse Valley towards the campsite, and this is usually the trail I come up. So we did this leg here for an extra 1.2 miles versus about a half mile going this way. So actually between the two, I think that's a bit steeper grade, but it's shorter. This is a more gradual grade, obviously to traverse up the same elevation point. So there's some stair climbs going up this one, and this trek is pretty level, steady uphill. Okay, so we're gonna go this way, and actually this segment of trail is super muddy and super clay loaded during the rainy season, and it's reasonably dry and compacted down now. So all right, and it looks like they're preparing. I see all these fresh wooden signposts here. It looks like they're getting ready to re-identify some of these trails. Oh, so here's that fire road that I pointed out to you guys earlier. So we just did the trek up through the oak forest area. You can also do a hill hike along the hillside there if you want. So this fire road takes you up through the rolling hills towards the summit, and the Vista summit at about 1850 feet or so, 1800 feet or so. And this takes you to the exact same point, but this leads back down into Los Trancos Creek area. So there's a lot more water flow here, a lot more dynamics, I think, from erosion and weathering along this trek. So this is the one we're doing here today. So I've definitely taken you guys on this part of the trail before. So although we haven't done it in a while, and we certainly haven't done it after such a heavy rainstorm season. So should be plenty of water flow down in the creek and that will be the main attraction for today. So yeah, we are rapidly dropping back down now from that 800-foot climb we just did. So we'll drop back down into the Los Trancos Creek Gorge area, and the entire Creek Gorge is a slow, steady uphill climb. Woo-wee! Look at where we are, guys. So that is Windy Hill. I've taken you guys up there to that summit before, and we're kind of looking down into that little neighborhood area of Portola Valley. So some of the most wealthy real estate and land in the Bay Area is right along in these hills right here. So not me, I don't live there, but some folks more fortunate than I do. I guess more fortunate, that's all relative and how you define that. So we're going to make our way here. So far not seeing anything that dramatic or that out of the unusual on this trek. So little squirrel going off right there, dropping off the trees, and I'm going to find a lot of them little critters out here for sure. So we're kind of continuing to drop back down, and we're on this exposed back hillside headed towards the Los Trancos Creek area, and this is the most dangerous part of the hike for sure. So I've gotten attacked by hornets and bees along this segment of trail twice now. Last summer I got stung pretty bad. My arm started to swell up. That was awful. I guess I'm becoming more allergic to bee stings the older I get. So I got to remind myself to take my Zyrtec or maybe even Benadryl before I start my hikes preventively. So wow, look at these wildflowers, guys. Get a load of that color. Purple, red, amazing. So I've seen whole hillsides with these red ones. I don't know what they are, but I never noticed them before. So I've also spooked a rattlesnake back here before too. There was an adult rattler just resting, chilling out on the hillside later in the summer when these grasses are really tall, and no doubt it was spooked by some trail runners prior to my being there. And same goes for those. Same goes for those bees too. They nest. The bees will nest like right along the trail side. So when I traverse through this section of the trail, I really make sure I keep a brisk, consistent pace. Try to be quiet along the way, and definitely listening. Always got my ears peeled for that 4,000 hertz tone of a bee's nest, or yellow jacket nest actually. Could have been yellow jackets, I couldn't tell. Hey, how's it going?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Doing good, thanks. So yeah, it could have been yellow jackets and or bees. 2 separate times. So this, I think, used to be a trail, an access point to the park that goes down into Portola Valley. So I never actually tried doing that, but this used to be a more worn footpath. I always thought it was a game trail, but now I see signs posted here. So evidently some people at some point were using that as an access trail. I always thought it was a game trail from deer, which it could have been. So just stumbled upon a pair of hikers coming up, and they didn't seem too startled or rattled. So using that as a gauge, I think I should be, knock on wood, relatively bee free. And I love bees, mind you. I know the benefits of a healthy bee population. Honeybees provide good food that I eat. But if you're hiking through a pissed off swarm of them, it is no fun. So they must have been so angry that they already marked me with their pheromone, and they just went into attack mode pretty quickly. I just didn't have time to respond. So I always keep my ears peeled throughout this section of hike. And if I hear any buzzing, I pick up my pace. And that's the other thing too, is your most threatening thing out here is your own behavior. So if I pick up my pace and start running and I fall, that's a million times worse than a bee sting. So I need to pick up my pace briskly but safely. Alrighty guys, so coming across first of many bridges, Bridge 19. Ah, very cool. Still some creek water runoff happening now. We're not so dry yet. Really cherish this. Very cool. Hope my camera does that justice. Hope my field audio does the water flow justice as well. Alrighty guys, so we're still finishing up our hike through bee and yellow jacket territory, and I can hear the sounds of Los Trancos Creek flowing off in the distance there, so we'll drop down into that very shortly here. And it sounds really strong today. Usually it's just a trickle in the summer and the spring, but right now at the tail end of our rain season, it is really flowing. This is bridge 15. Woo-wee! Oh yeah. Still lots of water source out here. So cool. So cool to see that. And even just the air is different when you're hiking around water. The air feels cooler. Everything's green and it's like breathing in air conditioning, natural air conditioning almost. So cool. Oh, get a load of these white flowers. That is so cool. Anybody in YouTube land can ID those. Feel free to do so down below. Alrighty guys, can you hear that? That is the raging waters of Los Trancos Creek at the tail end of a rain season. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is gonna be so much fun. Woo-wee. Wow, you see this grin? Ear to ear grin. I've not seen that creek or heard that creek flow that vigorously in a long time. So this is going to be fun. We stumbled upon some more hikers coming up, and they were all smiles too, so No doubt. So yeah, so we're actually encroaching on the backyard fence line of some people's private property, so you don't want to go down there. Definitely want to be respectful of that, or we lose the privilege of even being here. Wow, look at that. So here's the danger. I got to really make sure I'm focused on the trail and my footing and all that. I can get very easily distracted if I'm not careful. Oh yeah. And this is the crown jewel of Foothills Park. I keep calling it Foothills Park. I can't get over that. I can't get over that it's not Foothills Park anymore. This is Foothills Nature Preserve. So I lived in Palo Alto for over 10 years, and I've been coming here, and ever since day one it's been Foothills Park. But now it's a preserve, and it's open to the public. And once again, I'm smelling. Once you're along the water's edge, it sounds different, it smells different. It feels like you're hiking in a world of natural air conditioning. Woo-wee! And there's one section up here that has really seriously eroded and was actually closed for 2 seasons. So I'm curious to see how that area has held up after all these rainstorms. So you're going to hear me huffing and puffing because this is all uphill along the creek. So this is usually part of the trail where I really slow down my pace too. I normally try and hike at about a 3.2 mile per hour speed, but it's just so beautiful. I don't want this to end. So if there ever is a spot where I get distracted, this is it. So I'm very fortunate that my natural stride and cadence and conditioning target me in at 3 miles per hour, uphill, downhill, on average. So I'm actually a little bit faster than that, about 3.5 maybe miles per hour, up and down, averaged out, up and downhill. Now, of course, that drops significantly if I ever hike highly technical terrain, which I usually don't. I try and stick to the main trails. But at 3 miles per hour, I've hiked 1 mile after 20 minutes, 2 miles after 40, 3 miles after 60. So it's an easy way for me to A, monitor my time, and use that to calculate how many miles I've traveled. Now, the creek here is so distracting. I pause all the time. I'm taking pictures, and this kind of throws that off a little bit. But that's all right. So I do that in lieu of like a GPS or something like that. So wow, look at all this. This whole hillside is littered with deadfall. Oaks that have split and tumbled, fallen down the hillside, partially blocking the path here. Forest Ranger Service coming through, plowing all this out. Amazing. Unbelievable. And you can kind of see that. This whole hillside is just ready to come down. One at a time, maybe not all at once, but one at a time, two at a time. So I was just out here 2 weeks ago with my daughter, and we were hiking Fern Loop Trail, and under the deep oak forest canopy, we heard a tree limb split and start to tumble, and we booked it on out of there. Wow, look at this water flow. Amazing. As clear and as beautiful as that is not consumable. As fresh as that looks, you do not want to consume that without treating it first. All this water comes down off the hillside, collects all the microorganisms, giardia, animal dropping, runoff, and it all collects down in here in this creek. So if you have to drink that, make sure you process it either with tablets or mechanical filtering, UV processing, something along, or a combination of multiple. So I'm okay. I've got plenty of water in my pack. Have to be a pretty bad day out here for me to want to drink that, knowing what's in it. Alrighty guys, so we did the series of switchbacks up the hillside off the creek a bit, and it looks like we're coming up on some fresh landslide. Look at this, some deadfall here, split, and they've done some extensive trail work here to keep this part of the trail going. And you can tell all this loose dirt right here, that's recent, with no grasses growing on it, no grasses growing in it yet. That's recent. Look, there's some more deadfall over here, all around this area. So this is the backside of the trail of the park, kind of, and I think of all the places, this would be, the next mile or so would be the most rain and weather damaged out of everything. So it's not windy today like it was a couple weekends ago with my daughter. But still got to keep your ears peeled Keep your vision sharp, looking up. Dangerous things are above you, they're down below you, and if you're not careful, you can really get hurt out here. So, yep, here's another one. Here you go. Exhibit B, C, D, whatever. Loose dirt, fresh tree fall, deadfall. And this is part of the trail that was seriously damaged a few years ago, and they had to close the park, or close the entire trail loop. This backside of the loop had to be closed for 2 seasons while they repaired all of this. Wow, look at that. So one of those hikes I did several years ago, before they actually closed this part of the trail, I actually did the hike, and I got to a point back here along this ridge, this ledge, that I couldn't get around. There was no way to get around it. The earth and the dirt had completely washed away. Several oak trees fell down into the creek, and with the root structure, they took down all the soil and all the earth, and the entire half the hillside came down with it. Woo-wee! Oh yeah! Oh, here it is right here, guys. This is one of the sections I wanted to explore. You can see how that entire half of the hill is just teetering on a ledge, and I do not want to spend any more time than I need to on this part of the trail. You can see all this loose debris falling, trees, rocks, dirt, soil, earth, and those trees hanging on by a limb up there. I absolutely want to get out of here. That thing, that has got I don't want to say death, but that's got injury written all over it from top to the bottom, and I don't want anything to do with that. So I made it past that. Alrighty guys, still smiling, still making progress. Oh man, look at that. Woo-wee. Bridge number 11. Number 11. Alrighty guys, so we're coming up on the far southwestern extreme end of the park. Right here. Little bench over there is usually where I stop and eat my granola bars. Very cool. Alrighty, y'all. Got my rest. took a swig of some water and undid my pant legs, and we're ready to go because this is all uphill here. Gradual, slow, steady uphill until we reach the summit, Vista Hill, at 1,800 feet. Just wanted to get one last picture of this area. And for those of you who don't know, that whole hillside is littered with poison oak. So before you hop, skip, and on over there for whatever reason, think twice. So anyways, now if you're not allergic to poison oak, then you should stay off that hillside anyways, because you're damaging the terrain, you're compacting the soil, and that's not good. So this is a hike up and out of the Los Trancos Creek Gorge, and very shortly here we will be up and out of that area, and we'll be hiking up to the summit, Vista Hill. And that's what I love about this trail, is the terrain is always changing. So elevations are changing, the hillside's changing, the terrain is changing, and it changes every time I'm out here. I mentioned 2 weeks ago I was out here with my daughter and we heard a deadfall above us. You know, that's just one prime example. Everything's always changing out here. I see something new and something different every single time I'm out here. Never fails. And the creek is now behind us, getting quieter and quieter. And I'm hearing voices behind me. No doubt some hikers have started to catch up to me. And I know they're hikers because they're talking. I can hear them. Trail runners, you don't ever hear. They never talk. Okay, can you hear that? The peace and the tranquility of the oak forest over my yapping. Now that the creek is well behind us. Oh, holy moly, look at that. There's another deadfall. Huge one. Biggest one I've seen so far. That was not here before. Wow. Look at that. Hoo-wee. So that came from somewhere up there. Actually, maybe that was here. That's been, no, I take it back. That's been here a while. I just forgot about it. Take it back. Retract statement. Self-correction number 1. That's been there for a while. You can tell because of the grass and the moss growth on it. At least a season or two. Here it is, deadfall number 10, 20, I don't know. That just came down here this season, not too long ago. No doubt wind and storm damage, fresh cut timber. Doesn't take much for one of those to take out one of these bridges, and this trail is closed for a while after that happens. Alrighty, so we are definitely coming up and out of that creek gorge, and we're now entering into the exposed hilltop area. So there's still definitely pockets of oak forest up here, but definitely the terrain changes. To more of a rolling hill atmosphere. So this exposed hilltop reminds me of a hike I did a few years ago, a rain hike I had done, and managed to hike elevated up and out into a massive hailstorm, thunder and lightning. That was awful. And right about here, I started getting hailed on, which wasn't too bad in and of itself. I was geared for rain with my shell on, but the problem was the thunder claps as I kept approaching the Summit Hill area, and that was just terrifying. I've never heard thunder clap into my right and left ear. Boom, just boom like that. That was the most terrifying sound I've ever heard up here. I don't know if I was actually in any danger, but it was just something I've never heard before. So your mind plays tricks on you when it encounters something new. So, almost as terrifying as that spooked rattler or those pissed off bees. So, I remember that hike. I had the choice. What do I want to do? So, of course, being the natural instinctive dummy that I am, I decided to keep booking, keep going. And I literally did a trail run across this exposed hilltop area, which actually isn't that far, but when you got claps of thunder ringing in your right and left ear in stereo, it's a pretty long run for someone who is not, decidedly not a trail runner. So I survived, lived to tell the tale. Oh yeah. And as much as I like that Los Trancos Creek area, this exposed hilltop is absolutely, definitely also a favorite. And for some reason they marked this tree here. It looks like they're land clearing some of this area. For some reason. Don't know why. There's so much deadfall out here, no wonder. It's no wonder we have rampant grass fires every late summer here in California. Hooey! Alrighty, coming across our first meadow. And it looks like there's some hikers going that way, up that fire road. So we'll converge and meet up with them in a little bit. So eventually, later in the spring, this whole meadow will be filled with California poppies. It's absolutely stunning. Just a sea of glowing, radiant orange. It's absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. And then midsummer, the Forestry Service has to come up here with a tractor and just mow it down. get all this brush and it becomes brush and dry grass. They have to mow it all down for fire safety reasons, which is really sad, really unfortunate. It gives way to these other plant life, which I don't know if it's detrimental to the area or what the ecological pitfall or hazards are of that, but eventually it becomes like this after so many years, which I don't know, is that good or bad? I don't know, I can't tell, but I understand the very real dangers of fire and grass fires, but kind of wish for a season or two maybe just let the natural grasses grow. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I will tell you this, that field is absolutely stunning when it's filled with California poppies. Alrighty guys, so we're still trekking, coming across the rolling hills, and Costanoan Trail is 1.3 miles that way. So that is the trail back down into Wild Horse Valley, and I'll be descending down there. Trail cameras posted. I don't see one in here today, but Forestry Service, they do monitor wildlife activity out here. So we're dropping back down into our friend, the oak forest. Tree canopy once more. So I've mentioned it in my videos before, but the most dangerous thing out here is your own behavior. And I absolutely swear by that. And I see it all the time. And people are endangering themselves out here and they don't even know it. With headphones. Headphones, in-ear, earpods, AirPods, whatever they're called, take them out. You can hear danger and threats before you can see them, and before you can touch them, and before they can touch you. Whether it's a deadfall splitting overhead, whether it's a swarm of pissed off bees or yellow jackets or hornets, you can hear that. If it's a pissed off rattler over in the bushes that someone else has spooked coming up, they can see you and hear you and warn you well before you can detect them. So keep your ears open and use them. So mammals have evolved over billions of years with a sense of hearing perception. Primates, monkeys, and of course humans have adopted or adapted that. So anyway, so as I was saying, there's another hiker there I had to pause camera for, but nonetheless, your own sense of hearing is your best alarm. You can hear things before you can see them. So that's my public service announcement for today. Take that for what it's worth. My views and my opinions only. And we come out on the exposed area, and that is Portola Valley. Windy Hill right off that way, just on the other side of those bushes. Maybe we can see it better over here. Yeah, we can. Oh yeah, there is Windy Hill Preserve. Taking you guys up there before. Oh yeah. Haven't done that in a while. It gets really cold up there. And what you don't realize from a distance is that series of trails along that hillside and that crest, all the redwoods and the oaks, they soak up all the fog and the cloud cover, and the trees condense all that moisture and it rains down on the trail. So it doesn't look like anything threatening from a weather standpoint, but the trails are really wet, really muddy, and it's darn near a rainfall because of that phenomenon. So I like that trail a lot. It's a lot of fun, but try and do it in the warmer months if I can. There was one time I did a hike up there this past winter, and it wasn't raining. It was before all the rains had hit in December, but it was so cloudy, so damp. The air was so damp that I was just drenched head to toe on that Windy Hill section. It was just like hiking in the rain. Whoo-wee! Look at where we are, guys. Oh man, look at where we are. Wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So that little hilltop up there technically is the summit of the park. That's another 30 or 40 feet higher than where I'm at now, but this is the main Vista Hill. We made it. This is about 1750, maybe 1780, 1780 feet. And this oak tree is really coming in strong. It was really super tiny not too long ago. Man, oaks, they just thrive out here. So that is Windy Hill. That is Portola Valley. And we just did the hike along Los Trancos Creek, and we've come up and out of that gorge up to here. So actually, if you keep going, little known hidden secret, you keep going up this fire road, past these electrical poles, keep going along those electrical towers, right along in there, you can exit out of, well, you exit out of Foothills Park, and then you can enter into the Los Trancos Nature Preserve area, right along in there. And it piggybacks you on over into a whole different section of trails. And so that's the awesome thing about California parks and nature preserves, is you can through hike from one park and hop into park, however far you want to take your hike. So I went on Wunderlich County Park, I think it was, and I did a through hike, a loop around there. And there were sections of that trail that exited out and into the next adjacent preserve. So depending on your skill level, your conditioning, your strength, you can easily park hop from one to the other and take that as far as you want. So I do that all the time with Arastadero Preserve. I'll do a through hike through Arastadero and on into Foothills here. So I apologize about the wind noise, but that's just how it is on these exposed hilltops. There's downtown Palo Alto, right down in there. My home is right along the water's edge, right over that way, at the tip of my finger, right there. That's home. San Francisco, right there. Awesome. Love it up here. Alrighty guys, so had our granola bars, got to sit down and rest just a little bit on the hilltop, and we're coming back down now. So this will be a pretty quick descent down into Wild Horse Valley, and I'll take Costanoan Trail and Fern Loop Trail down on into the valley. I just find it an interesting part of the hike. That Fern Loop section of the hike is just so beautiful, so gorgeous. Alrighty guys, so we made it to Costanoan Trail. And a new bench Nice, very nice. And these should be numbered, I think. Maybe not. Maybe they didn't number this one. But at any rate, nice new bench. So this takes us on over that way. And I think what we'll do... I think we'll go down Costanoan Trail this way into Fern Loop and on into the Interpretive Center. So this is always a really fun part of the hike, and I like this because that Fern Loop Trail is so loaded with ferns and moss cover, and one of the more interesting places in the park, I think. Alrighty guys, making our way, continuing on down into Wildhorse Valley, Costanoan Bridge number 1, with plenty of water flow, creek flow. Nice. Enjoying that while I can, because that will not last. That is short-term and temporary only. Until the next heavy rain. And we should be coming up on Fern Loop Trail very soon. You can tell the hillsides are loaded with ferns. And we should be at our junction very shortly. Alrighty guys, we are now entering Fern Loop Trail, and I'm going to take the right side of the loop, just because I always take the left, so we're going to take the right side today. Okay, so we just hiked 0.9 miles from Los Trancos, and we'll take this side of Fern Loop Trail through the mossy ferns. Ooh yeah. Coming up on some more creek flow. Very nice. Ooh yeah. Gotta watch my step. Alrighty guys, so I think I'm gonna wrap things up here. This is the trailhead for Fern Loop Trail, and this is Wild Horse Valley back on this way, and this is the main fire road on into the campsite. That awful noise you're hearing over there is the pump station. They've got a municipal water facility management thingy going on over there. So if there's one thing I don't like about this campground is it's right over there, and it's right next to that municipal pump station, and you hear that all night. It just ruins it for me. So, and that campsite's not cheap either. I think it's 40 bucks a night. So anyways, yeah, we're gonna wrap things up here, guys. So once again, everybody, thanks for tuning in here to the channel. Please feel free to post comments and questions down below, and I'll catch you all later on the next one. Remember, everybody, stay safe out there and enjoy the outdoors. I'll catch you guys later on the next one.